Boulderfest is probably my favourite competition each year. I don't always get the opportunity to compete at Boulderfest because I might be overseas competing, but especially this year I don't have any overseas competitions at the moment, and very limited comps. So Boulderfest meant that little bit more to me as well. It's always so well run and such an awesome vibe. So it was a really fun event. The Pumpfest qualifiers is always super fun. I always go way too hard and then I have very limited skin. But yeah, I don't know, I'm not certain if I've actually ever won a Boulderfest before. So that was pretty cool. I'm pretty stoked with that, and one of my favourite comps, definitely. So yeah, very excited. So 2.5 hours of Pumpfest format and like the top 8 boulders count. So I'm always managing very limited amounts of skin, so I have to go into it with a fair bit of strategy. But I was first in the first round of the Pumpfest qualifiers, so I didn't know how many points I needed. So I did go a little bit too hard, but I don't regret it. I just have very little skin for finals. But generally my strategy is warm up before the Pumpfest. Even though you've got 2.5 hours, you want to make the most of that time and rest enough between climbs, which I was a bit hyperactive and didn't do. But the idea is use the first half hour to get a solid, maybe at least 5 climbs under your belt, and then start working on hard climbs because your top 8 count. So I did a good solid warm up before the round actually started, and then I did 2 reds, and then just started working on blacks, and I had 8 climbs by the first hour and a half. So then in the last hour I started trying to bump off my lower scoring climbs, but it turned out I actually didn't need to even climb any of the whites, and that was like just used up all of my skin. But it's hard to know, it's a bit of balance, and each Boulderfest, each comp, I'm figuring it out. So yeah, always learning whatever works for you. So isolation, like depending on how long it is generally where athletes are going to be warming up, they're going to be preparing themselves mentally for the finals event about to come. So I generally plan out my isolation so that I have about an hour, depending on if it's boulder or lead. For this case, I had an hour warm up for the finals event, and then that was an hour before viewing, and then you do like some extra little warm up before you go out as well. So we get that 2 minutes to read the finals boulders and figure out some ideas of some beta for each boulder, and it's really good to have someone to bounce ideas off from the competitors, and that's one of the beautiful things about climbing is that competitors work together to figure out that beta together. So yeah, some of the boulders seem pretty straightforward, but you know they're going to be high risk and really hard. And other boulders are just like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure that out when I'm on the wall. So there's a climb, say, that isn't really easy to read. Like there actually was. The F2, the slab, it was really tricky to read. And even though I had like some ideas in the visualization period, I went out there and I was like, how do I pull on? Because you're always also wanting to make the most of your flash attempt, because that it might come down to that when it comes to the final. So my strategy when I'm not 100% certain of the beta is pick one and then go for that 100%. Don't second guess yourself. Just go with your first thought, commit 100%, and if it doesn't work, then at least you know you gave that beta 100%, and then you can try something else. So if that beta isn't going to work for you, then you have to try something different. But you never know if you're second guessing yourself on every attempt with that beta, if that makes sense. So as long as you commit 100%, it can go wrong. So my favorite boulder was the black F3 in the cave. It was like, as soon as I saw it in the viewing, I knew I was gonna love it. It was just, it's such a beautiful set climb, and it's aesthetically really pleasing, but also I love caves. I love roof climbs, and I felt, when I was on the climb, I felt really in my element and really enjoyed every part of it. So that was definitely my favorite. There was this funny moment in the finals before F3. We just finished the slab, and in the isolation, I was just like so amped, so psyched, and I had like the other athletes looking at me really weirdly because I just burst out with this like, I love caves. And they were all like, is she okay? Yeah, I got a bit overexcited about it, but it pleased me a lot when I was on the wall, and it was exactly as I wanted it. Yeah. Yeah, I've been training for Boulderfest, so the next thing, I'm still working towards the World Championships in Russia, but we're not 100% certain that that's going ahead, so I'm still training for it. And I'm very focused on this outdoor project I have at Mount Coolum, and it'll be my first ever climb of that grade, so I'm really looking forward to working towards sending that climb to Coolum, and it's like literally every day off I have, I'm going to be at Coolum trying to send this project, so fingers crossed.